I think of the work of philanthropists as communitarian work, and that really is a school of ethics. It's one of the ways of doing ethics. I'm sure you think a lot about what makes community work best. How do you build community? How do you build trust and mutual relations among people with whom you work? Would you care to talk a little bit about this strand of doing ethics?
Yeah, I think that community starts where you work, and that having a clear vision of what it means to bring people together to work well together and to communicate well. It's taken me a lot of years to really understand how truly important this is. But creating a culture of success, a culture that doesn't punish failure, but instead celebrates failure. A culture that allows people honestly and authentically to share ideas and know that those ideas may not be actualized, but that they've had a chance to share them and to explore them with others who think differently. I believe in service leadership. Robert Greenleaf wrote a wonderful book called Service Leadership that talks about the importance of kind of leading from behind.
In our work, we call them bridge leaders. This term comes from women who worked in the African American civil rights movement. Bridge leaders are very important for community.
There was an artist in residence program outside of Durban that I was blessed to visit a couple of times while I was traveling in South Africa. And there were a number of lithographs, one that I have on the wall in my office that looks like a fabric. It's done in gold and silver and white. And if you look at it, it looks like a beautiful fabric, but if you get up close, there are faces, 5 across and 5 up, of women that are embedded in the fabric. And what I loved so much about it is that it talks about women's roles in South Africa, that women are part of the fabric of the society, and that fabric can't survive without them, but that they're almost invisible. That they're so interconnected and that their work is so woven together that the country couldn't survive without them, but that they don't stand individually. I mean, it was just such a beautiful metaphor for what I had experienced in terms of the strength of South African women and the strength of South African women leaders.
I think you're also that kind of person, Karen, if I might say so. I know you have an interesting quote that you like from Nelson Mandela. I thought it would be great if we could hear that quote, if you have it available.
Yeah, so Nelson Mandela's quote is, it's better to lead from behind. Is that the one that you,
yes.
Okay. It's better to lead from behind than to put others in front.
Wow.
Especially when you celebrate victory, when nice things occur. You take the front line when there's danger. And I think that's I think that's very true. I will jump in front of anyone who works for me if they have a point of view that's not being well represented, or if something happens. The buck stops on my desk. But if there is something to celebrate, working with young leaders and helping to build those young leaders up and putting them on the front is really where I think my role is. It's what's so important.
And perhaps your joy.
And it's really where my joy is, absolutely. The idea of seeing young people, many of them young women, but not all of them. There are a lot of young men coming into this field who are doing just phenomenal work. And it's so exciting to be able to celebrate their victories and feel, you know, and just be able to stand back and say, okay, I had some small part in this.